So hello everyone, welcome to this latest video from me here at TDW. Apologies for the delay. This is going to be a roundup of kind of what were the final 2 days and what I learnt, etc. from the IPS user forum. I didn't do it at the forum itself because it became too painful. It was just the internet at the hotel was pretty slow. In fact, when I did the day 2 summary, it took all night. It took nearly 12 hours to upload a video to YouTube from there. Anyway, that's 21st century problems for you. So the reason it's taken me so long to finish this off, I returned from Brussels with a bit of a lurgy. Whoever shared the love at the conference, thank you. So I do understand that several people are unwell, and some of you have gone back to the States not feeling great, etc. I hope that you do recover very, very shortly. So this is kind of my, if you like, I'm going to quickly summarize day 3, day 4, and then I'm going to kind of give you my spiel on what I think I took away from the event. And, you know, I just want to say thank you to everybody who came up to me at the conference and said that you really enjoy the YouTube videos. And B, those of you who are sending me messages on LinkedIn, email, through YouTube, etc. Thank you. It's you know, this was something that I wanted to build a little community, and it was actually Claire's idea that I did YouTube. I didn't actually want to do YouTube, and well, here we are. Anyway, that's a thank you from me to those of you who did come up to me and spend time with me. Incidentally, I had a whole raft of questions at the event, some that I'm not in a position to answer, i.e. I'm not an official or formal mouthpiece for the ASD community, if you like. So I've passed on to those who I think can answer for you. So how do you get involved and those kind of things. I've passed you on to the right, what I hope are the right people. Anyway, so we did day 1, day 2. Day 3 is where it kind of bomb-bursts into 3 different tracks. And, you know, so we have some kind of thoughtful presentations, some product presentations, and we also have some like real world presentations. You know, I did spend a lot of time looking at some of the tools that are out there. I was asked some questions while I was out there. Those, by the way, those of you who asked me a question, I took it away. I'm going to do a whole video on the top 10 questions I was asked whilst I was at the user forum. So I got questions around software. I got questions around, should we be implementing this stuff? Where should we start? How long does it take? What's the level of effort? Those kind of things. And I think that's what we should be focusing on this channel. How do we actually make this stuff happen? And so I will do something. So there was I went to, was it day, it was day 3. I think it was either day 3 or day 2. I can't remember. And I'm just going through my notes here. And, you know, it was kind of building on the Airbus presentation, which was, you know, which I thought was actually really, really good. If you didn't get to see that, maybe, you know, create an account on the ASD website or subscribe to their newsletter, and maybe they'll be able to send you the slides. But you know, the Airbus presentation was all about the was it called the Combat Cloud? I can't remember if they called it the Combat Cloud or something with it. But on day 3, I had to decide which kind of presentations I was going to go into. So I did go into the S1000D panel discussion, where they were talking about the future aspirations of the specification, kind of what they want to do with the spec. And you know, there was a call out for people to get involved, specifically in things like the Emerging Technology Working Group. I did raise a churlish question saying, you're talking about technologies that have been around for decades, but you know, what the steering committee has identified is that they need to move with the times. They need to accommodate what we're actually trying. You know, we spend our time in the supply chain and actually trying to make these specifications happen. And it's important that we feed back to the community what's missing, how the specs need to improve, etc. So I did sit in on that. I didn't sit in on the issue 6 presentation. those of you who haven't seen it yet, I've done a video that I'll release here on YouTube shortly on what's new in issue 6. But I didn't want to release it before the event because I didn't want to steal their thunder and I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. Contrary to popular belief, I don't always like to poke the bear. So there was the in the S1000D discussion, there was talking about how the new SVG profile is in there, how they want looking at other technologies or other methodologies, I think is probably a better term for producing information. And they're looking at how they can do that. There was a really good question that came in from, I'm not going to name the company, but you were sat just in front of me and we did have a conversation on the use of model identification codes. It was a brilliant question and I don't think you got a good answer. And I have some thoughts around that and how S1000D can maybe be a little bit more useful in terms of those of us in the supply chain who have these kind of problems. It was a really, really good question. There was a stat was thrown around how many times the specification was downloaded. That for me is a meaningless stat. I want to know how many people are actually using the specification, how many are actually implementing this stuff. I don't think a download equals using, in the last year alone, I've probably downloaded the specifications 15-20 times because I download it and then I might delete it or move it or do whatever, and I'll go download it again, and and then on training I'll go and tell people to download the specifications. And if I've got a classroom full of 20 authors or 20 students, that doesn't mean that's only one organization that's using it, not 20 different projects. So there was a discussion around succession planning and how they're talking about S1000D and I think the wider S series in a business continuity aspect. So you youngsters out there who want to get involved in this stuff, get involved. And we need new ideas. We need fresh thinking. We need that diversity of thought on all of these groups, and maybe come and stir it up a little bit. So I think that would be something you should get involved with. There was also questions, a newbie question about how do we start S1000D, where do we go, and we've had a conversation since, and the reality is that you need to have a process for implementing S1000D before you get into the S1000D implementation itself. So I've given you some information on that. I went into a process data module presentation, and thank you for shouting out one of our YouTube videos here on the process data module. The process data module absolutely is starting to become a hot topic again. A lot of people are getting involved. In fact, I'm trying not to mention people, but you know who you are, my friend from Airbus. We had some conversations with several people around process data modules, what the vendors are doing with the process data module, what some of the, there were some guys from the States that had come over and were talking about what they're doing with the process data module, which was all exciting stuff. So, we did have a little side discussion, a side meeting on the process data module and the process data module task team that I'm involved with. And how we can drive, I think this is one of the crown jewels for the S1000D community. So the process data module is good. Now, day 4 was kind of, either way, it was a great day. Lots of good presentations. I did go into one product presentation that then they opened up the product presentation by saying, I'm not going to show you product. If you want to come and see my product, come to the table. I'm in here to watch your product demonstration, not to be told that I have to then come and see you at the stand. So that's just one criticism. So day 4, there was a lot of AI based presentations, and some were really good, and you know, a couple were kind of meh. They were nothing presentations. Now, one thing that I just want to make a comment, and this was a conversation that I had with somebody else in the kind of forum. You get 30 minutes to present, and you spend 10 minutes talking about who you are and who your company is, or what your company is, and you've got to leave 5 minutes for discussion. Can we remove the niceties and just get on to the technical presentation that we've come to learn from you? And so one of the AI presentations I went into was substandard, and I've written a blog article for that on my S1000D World website and S1000D.training website. One AI presentation that I went to was super cool, and you guys know who you are, and it was like using AI vision, and it was, you know, you were pointing an iPad at an electric bike, and these guys were super proud of their electric bike, and then from the AI engine was pulling up all of the data modules associated with specific areas of the bike, and you could navigate it and do those kind of things. Now, once you get under the skin of how AI works, you know that it's actually not that wow, but in the audience, it was very similar to when I did my first AR presentation on a technical authoring course. This is what we're trying to achieve, you know, with augmented reality, and the audience nearly wet themselves. It was the same kind of reaction in there. And actually, once you get to understand the technologies and how it works, it does a lot of heavy lifting for you. So I started thinking about how they've made it work underneath the, you know, the covers. And I suspect, and I may be wrong, you know, triggering the SNSs, I guess, from the data module codes, which is pulling up the data modules. I may be wrong. They might be doing it in a slightly more intelligent way. I don't know. Then they went on to, this is one of the questions I got asked when I was at the forum, was, am I worried as a trainer, as a consultant, am I worried about AI? And, you know, the short answer is no. And but I'm going to do a video on why I'm not worried about AI yet. And we'll talk about that here on this channel. But, you know, what they did is they did a really good Ask Us Any question about S1000D. And I think a chap down the front, an American guy, asked about... I think it was disassembly sequencing or something along those lines. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm pretty useless with that kind of stuff. Anyway, they asked the question of the AI, and the AI pulled up information from the specification and said, you know, this is kind of what you need to know. Now, why I'm not worried about AI and those kind of capabilities, we're going to talk about in the next coming week. So make sure you like and subscribe, and you'll get to hear my thoughts on that. So overall, those were kind of day 3 and day 4. They were really good days. We had lots of great time having lots of great conversations with people, and you know, the event itself was really well organized. I loved the neutrality of the event. It was an ASD event. It wasn't leaned over one vendor over another, and you know, it was, everyone felt, you know, I spent a lot of time talking to people. We felt like it was a neutral event. It was a formal event of ASD, and we really enjoyed it. So I found it, you know, in a nutshell, it was very valuable. What were my key takeaways? Originally, I was going to do this in a separate video, but let's just get it done. So what were my key takeaways? Well, one, from the presentations, the S series is still maturing. Okay, I think we all agree the S series is not quite there yet, and I'm talking about as an integrated set of specifications. There was lots of discussion around the lack of integration and harmonization, which I'm sure will only mature. So, you know, and the reality is that lots of the presentations actually supported that. And I've been saying this go back 18 months on this channel, and you'll see some of my videos that's calling out are these specifications ready yet? In fact, I think I wrote an article on LinkedIn about, are these things ready yet? But that will come. And, history tells us that these specification adoptions take time. And, just look at S1000D over the years. And some people are still only getting into the S1000D messaging, if you like, or how to use S1000D. What I did notice as well is that lots of the S1000D based presentations were moving away from using the word tech docs and were moving more into tech information. I don't know. I'd like to say that that's a result of me calling it out on this channel and saying that tech docs actually downplays what we do. But I don't know. I'm not even sure if anybody in that community actually watches any of my videos. What I did take away is that a lot of people are taking elements of the S series, 1000, 2000, 3000, a couple of them are looking at 6000, and then they're integrating them into their existing systems, their existing training systems, their existing provisioning systems, those kind of things. So they're not taking, or maintenance planning systems as well. So they're not taking the entire S suite. The thing that not worried me, but interested me, was that a lot of people clearly said, we're taking it, but we're customizing it to make it work in our environment, which is not a harmonization thing. It's a data harmonization for them, but it's not a specification harmonization thing. So they're taking it, they're doing it, they're pseudo doing it, and they're transforming it. The sweet spot right now that I took away seems to be 1, 2, and 3. Is what people are looking at in a serious way. Certainly, a lot of my customers were in the audience, and, we spent time talking to them and asking, so which ones are you looking at? And a lot of them were saying, what they were considering. And 6 certainly wasn't being discussed. 4 wasn't being discussed for those guys because they already have systems in place. Anyway, one thing I did notice, the lack of simplified technical English being spoken about as part of the S series. Now, I did mention this to the ASD guys. Lots of the presentations, guys, we don't need to see that same slide over and over and over and over and over and over again, where it talks about the kind of schematic of these specifications. I think once you've shown it to us once or twice, or give it to us as a pre-course handout or something along those lines, I think we get it. But there was no mention of STE and simplified technical English. Now, I did mention this with a couple of people. They kind of agreed with me. I have mentioned it also to the ASD guys, and they are aware. S1000D still appears for me to be not the problem child, the special child, that, all roads seem to be leading to S1000D. And, it's almost like a lot of the presentations was our end game is S1000D. Well, actually, it's not. If we zoom out, our end game is much wider than that. So S1000D still appears to be this kind of separate special child that's on the outside of the S series specifications. For me, this is only my opinion. So, conclusion, what did I take away from this? S series obviously has a lot of potential, has a lot of backing from, big organizations, and lots of people are getting very excited about the S series. I'm just going to try and turn this off because it's drying out my throat. But they're not ready yet. So, the problem is, of course, is that we're making product acquisition decisions today. Now, we're buying hardware now, and therefore we're making data decisions today. And which means the S series is likely to get left behind, or elements of the S series is likely to get left behind. AI was clearly being discussed, but not at the level that I would expect. I think, one of the presentations downplayed the role of AI, and which is dangerous. If you go to a presentation and somebody just says, oh, it's just a glorified something or other, that downplays the importance of what AI is going to do. If you accept that AI is coming and AI is going to change the way we do things, you'll be in a much better place. Ignoring it or downplaying it is certainly, in fact, one of the product presentations I went to was exceptionally good on how AI and AI agents can be used in a very clever way. And you know, and when I had some conversations with people in the room afterwards, they were like, wow, that's pretty impressive. That's AI in action. So you know, lots of people are still there just kind of knowledge gathering, and you know, is this something we should be doing? You know, I've got a video coming up on YouTube shortly on you know, how you're being asked for data will actually impact the way that you do data. So we'll think about that as well. So I think the next block release is key for these specifications. And I, you know, as I did a video before, they are going to release that, they hope, by the end of this year. I think for credibility, we need to get ourselves, you know, these specifications out in the wider community for comment, for people to get involved, to try and understand these specs, how they speak to each other, you know, how they're meant to speak to each other, or harmonize, as Mark would say. Let's get the harmonization done. So those were my thoughts. I really enjoyed the event, and you know, a massive congratulations to the guys at ASD. And you know, there was a young lady running around behind the scenes, making sure everyone was happy, making sure you know, everybody was getting fed and all that kind of stuff. You know, a massive congratulations to all of them. It was a really, really good event. If you can get to the next ones, as I mentioned, I think there's a S1000D user forum in Montreal next year. I need to be sure that I'm going to learn something if I'm going to go there, you know, spend the money to come from Europe over there. You know, if it's just to go there and to, you know, just see the same presentations again, then maybe not for me. I don't know. We'll see. We've got a year to figure it out, right? So anyway, again, those of you who spent time with me, talking to me, those of you who gave me your lurgy, thank you very much. I am about to head out and go and do some S1000D technical author training for a client for the week. Then I'm back. Subscribe, because I've got some really good, I think are really good videos coming your way, and we will talk about some implementation challenges, some data challenges. And one of the questions I was asked whilst I was away was that for some reason, when some of you are doing your workouts or going for your walks, you like to put me in your ears and go for a walk, which I couldn't think of anything freaking worse. But will the podcast come back? We used to do a podcast, and yeah, pre-COVID, I'm not sure we can use this COVID word anymore, but we kind of stopped and we never really reignited it. We'll do our best to reignite that and try and turn some of these into more of a deeper thought piece. Head over to our website. You can read some of our blogs anyway. But yeah, congratulations. Great event. Thank you, everybody.